Hello everyone. In this video we will be doing the worksheets that you had over the week together so that you can check them and see if they were correct. Please wait for these videos where you can check if you did them correctly before uploading them to Google Drive so that we can see them. So first watch the video, try and correct them on your own, and then upload them so that we can see them. Correcting your own exercise is a very important process. So let's see this now. This is exercise 1 that you had for Wednesday. So we have to fill in this board. So knowing that we have 2 meters here, we need to translate it into decimeters, centimeters, and then millimeters. So 2 meters is 20 decimeters because it's 2 times 10. 200 centimeters because it's 2 times 100, and 2,000 millimeters because it's 2 times 1,000. Then we have 70 decimeters, which is 7 meters because it's 70 divided by 10. Then we have it in centimeters being 700 because it's 70 times 10, which makes 700. And then we have 7,000 because it's 70 times 100 because we're going 2 steps down. Then we have 500 centimeters. 500 centimeters is 5 meters because we're going 2 steps up, so that's 500 divided by 100. Then 50 because it's 500 divided by 10, which makes 50. And here we have 5,000 because it's 500 times 10 because we're going a step down. I'm guessing that this is, we'll just fill this in. So we have 8,000 millimeters, so that would be 800 centimeters because it's 1 step up, then 80 decimeters because it's 2 steps up, and then 8 meters because that's 3 steps up. Okay. Next up, we want 7 meters into decimeters, so that's 7 times 10, 70. Then we want meters into centimeters, so times 100, give me 300. Decimeters into centimeters would be times 10, so 50. Kilometers into meters, which means times 1,000, would give me 3,000. 3,000 meters into kilometers would give, that's divided by 1,000, so that would give me 3. 3,000 divided by 1,000 would give me 3. Then 80 decimeters into meters, that would be divided by 10, so 8. 80 divided by 10 would give me 8. Then 40 centimeters into decimeters, I would have to divide by 10, so 4. And 200 millimeters into centimeters, I would have to divide by 10, so 20. Next up, 72 decimeters into meters and then decimeters. It would be 7.2 meters because I'd have to divide by 10. Wait. And, well, it's already in decimeters, so we just write 72 again. Next up, we want 8,045 millimeters into meters, decimeters, centimeters, and then millimeters again. Well, we already know how much it is in millimeters. It's 8,045 millimeters. So it would be 1 step up means divide by 10, so that would give me 804.5 centimeters. Then another step up, so I'd have to divide by 100, so 80.45 decimeters. And then meters is 3 steps up from millimeters, so I'd have to divide by 1,000, giving me 8.045. Next up, we have 67 centimeters into decimeters and centimeters again. Well, again, we already know how many centimeters that is. 67. And decimeters is 1 step up, so 6.7. Here we have 5 meters, 4 decimeters, and 6 centimeters, into all of it into centimeters. Well, I know that 4 decimeters is 40 centimeters, because that's times 10. And 5 meters is 500 centimeters, because that's times 100. So 540 and 6 would give me 546. Next up, 3 meters and 5 centimeters into centimeters. Well, 3 meters is 300 centimeters, so that's 305 centimeters. 9 decimeters and 4 millimeters into millimeters. 9 decimeters, because to go from decimeters to millimeters, that's 3 steps down. So wait, no, that's 2 steps down, actually. So times 100, that would give me 904. 904. Next up, we have a store that sold 2 pieces of rope. One was 12.7 meters and the other was 8 meters, 3 decimeters, and 5 centimeters. So how much in total? Well, this means that we should probably write this in meters. So how would we do that? We could say 8 meters, 3 decimeters is 0.3 meters, and 5 centimeters is 0.05. So it would be 8 plus 0.3 plus 0.05, which would give me a total of 8.35. Now, that means I have to do 12.7 plus 8.35. So let's do that. If you remember, when we're adding decimal numbers, the decimal point of one number needs to be beneath the other. So I'm going to have to do 12.7 and then 8.35. See, the 8 is beneath the 2 so that the decimal points are placed correctly. This should be a 0. Zero and 5 makes 5. 7 and 3 makes 10, so I write 0, I carry 1. 1 and 2 and 8 makes 11, so I write 1, I carry 1. And then 1 and 1 makes 2. And then the decimal point just goes down. So 21.05 is the correct answer. Let's move on to the next worksheet. This is theory, actually, so we don't actually need to write anything here. So I'm just going to close this one and this one. Make sure, if you want to check something, if you did it correctly, you should be checking along with me. But in case you want to check something, if you didn't have time, just go back in the video a little bit to the point where I did it, and you can find the solution there. Okay, so let's move on to this one. Okay, here we go. In this one, we have 4,528 millimeters, and we want to turn that into centimeters. That means a step up, so divide by 10, which would give me 452.8. Then we have 100 millimeters into decimeters, so we would be going up 2 steps, so divide by 100. 100 divided by 100 would give me 1. Then 124 decimeters into meters. Since I'm going up a step, that's divide by 10, so 12.4. 40 centimeters into meters, that's 2 steps up, so I'm dividing by 100. 40 divided by 100 would give me 0.4. 15 millimeters into meters, so that means I'm going 3 steps up, so divide by 1,000. 15 divided by 1,000 would give me 0.015. 3.5 decimeters into meters, that's a step up, so divide by 10 gives me 0.35. 275 centimeters into decimeters is a step up, so 275 divided by 10 give me 27.5. And lastly, for this exercise, 2,425 meters into kilometers is 3 steps up, so divide by 1,000 would give me 2.425. Next up, this problem says that Lamia is 215 kilometers from Athens, and it wants me to represent that in meters, decimeters, and centimeters. So from kilometers to meters, that's 3 steps down, so I'm going to multiply by 1,000, which would give me 215,000 what meters. Next up, to decimeters, that's 4 steps down, so times 1,000 would give me 2,150,000 what? Decimeters. Then 5 steps down, I would have 21,500,000 what? Centimeters. Next up, we have a dog, and it's 0.945 meters, or in millimeters, I would have to turn this, I would have to go 3 steps down, so multiply this by 1,000, then I'd get 945. Here we're talking about a tree that can reach a height of 25 meters, or in decimeters, so times this by 10, and I would get 250. Another tree that can reach a height of 0.050 kilometers, or in meters, if I times this by 1,000, I would get 50. Next up, we have a snake that can reach a rattlesnake, actually. A length of 2.5 meters, or in centimeters, meaning I need to multiply this by 100, and I would get 250. If I do 2.5 times 100, I would get 250. Next up, we want to do these additions. So basically, before we can add these, we've done exercises like this, both in 5th and 4th and 3rd grade. So if we want to add these together, we first have to turn them all into the same unit of measurement. So let's just say that I turn them all into millimeters, because that's the easiest to do. How would I do that? I would multiply this by 1,000, so I would get, let's do A. If I multiply the first one by 1,000, I would get 3,200, plus the second one, because it's decimeters, needs to be multiplied by 100, so I would get 50,000. And the last one is already in millimeters, so then I can add all of these up quite easily, because none of them are in the same place value. Let's say this is tens of thousands, this is thousands and hundreds, and this is tens and ones. So it would basically go 53,242 millimeters. Then we go to B. I'm going to turn all of these into centimeters because that's the smallest one, so it's the easiest to do. So 306 plus 2.4 meters into centimeters means I need to multiply by 100, so 240. And then from kilometers to go to centimeters, that is 3, 4, 5 steps down. So I need to multiply by 100,000. And what I would get is 4,000. And this makes 4,000. Did I do it correctly? Yes. 4,546. Yes? Yes. Centimeters. C. The smallest unit of measurement here is decimeters, so I'm going to turn them all into decimeters. So 435 stays the same. Then to turn this into decimeters, since it's meters, I need to multiply it by 10. So I get 250. 253.2.2. And then we have this in millimeters. So to turn it into oh, I should have turned them all into, I thought this was kilometers. Got confused. Anyway, since we started already, we'll just leave it like that. To turn this into decimeters, I would have to divide by 100, so this would become 25. So we need to do 435 plus 253.2 plus 25. You can do these vertically, or you can do these in your mind. Both are possible. So 25 with 435 would give me 460, and then I would add that to 253.2, and I would get 713.2. Right? Absolutely. Decimeters. Perfect. So check your answers. Pause the video if you have to. Let's continue to the next one. Okay, worksheet number, what are we on? No. No. Let's go to number 3. 3.8 meters into millimeters means I need to times this by 1,000, so I would get 3,800. Decimeters into meters means I need to divide by 10, so 5.4. Meters into kilometers means I need to divide by 1,000, so 3.2. Decimeters into meters means I need to divide by 10, so 0.5. Centimeters into decimeters means I need to divide by 10, so 0.28. Centimeters into meters means I need to divide by 100, so 0.64. 5.05 kilometers into meters means I need to multiply by 1,000, so 5,050. Centimeters into meters means I need to divide by 100, so 0.78. Meters into kilometers means I need to divide by 1,000, so 0.008. Millimeters into centimeters, sorry, means I need to divide by 10, so 5.4. Meters into kilometers means I need to divide by 1,000, so 7. Decimeters into centimeters means I need to multiply by 10, so 35. Okay. Next one wants me to find the perimeter of this shape, so basically I just need to add all its sides here. So I need to do 0.75 meters plus 54 centimeters plus 25 centimeters and 8 millimeters plus 470 millimeters. So the smallest unit of measurement here is millimeters, so I'm going to turn all of these into millimeters and add them. So 0.75 meters is 750 millimeters. 54 centimeters is 540 millimeters. 25 centimeters is 250 millimeters plus 8 makes 258 millimeters. And then we have the 470 that are ready. And now we can do this vertically, or we can just say 0 and 0 and 8 and 0 makes 8. And then 7 and 5 makes 12, and 4 makes 16, and 5 makes 21. So I'm going to write 1 and carry 2 in my mind. And then 4 and the 2 that I carried over makes 6, and 2 makes 8, and 5 makes 13, and 7 makes 20. Great. Okay. Next problem asks how far the city of Kos is from Abimahia. So basically we just need to add all of these distances together. So 8.2 kilometers plus 6,500 meters plus 11 kilometers and 800 meters. So I'm going to turn all of these into meters since they're the smallest one. 8.2 kilometers into meters, so times 1,000 would give me 8,200 plus, this is already in meters, so I don't need to change anything, so 6,500. Plus here we have 11 kilometers and 800 meters. So 11 kilometers is 11,000 meters, and 800 would give me 11,800 meters. So we're going to have 0, 0, and then we're going to say 8 and 5 makes 13, and 2 makes 15, so right, 5 carry 1. And then 1 and 1 that I carried over is 2, and 6 makes 8, and 8 makes 16, so I write 6, I carry 1, and then 1 and the 1 that I carried over makes 2, so 26,500 is my final answer. Meters, by the way. So, the next one says that 15% of this distance is equal to this distance. So we want to find basically 15% of this. How would we do that? We would say 15 over 100. And then we would multiply that by 11,800. Okay, so now you can just cross out the zeros here. And what you would be left with is 15 times 118. And you can do that vertically. Let's actually, give me a second. That is actually 1,000. 770 watt meters. Okay, so that's exercise 3. Please check your answers. Pause the video if you have to. And we're going to be continuing to the next one. No, say that. Okay, so here we're starting to see more problems with, we're starting to see some problems with time. So this one talks about Marie Curie. Yeah, you know her. We've talked about her many times at school. She was a very important scientist. And it is asking us basically how long she lived. It gives us the date that she was born and the date that she died. And it asks us how long she lived. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to think as follows. She died in 1934. Okay, but how many days after 1934 began? Well, let's think. So that's the year that she died. Then let's think about the day. So we need to get to the 4th of July. So find out how many days it is from the beginning of the year till the 4th of July. So we're going to say 31 from January and 28 from February and 31 from March and 30 from April and 31 from May and 30 from June and another 4 from July, because that's what we want, 4th of July. So let's add all of these up. 1 and 8 is 9, and 1 makes 10, and 0 makes 10, and 1 makes 11, and 0 makes 11, and 4 makes 15. So I'm going to write, I'm just going to write it up here, 5, and I'm going to carry 1. And then I'm going to say 3, and the one that I carried over makes 4, and another 3 makes 7, and another 3 makes 10, and another 3 makes 13, and another 2 makes 15, and another 3 makes 18. So 185. So we have 185 days. And then we need to do the same process for her date of birth. So that's 1,867 years. And then we want to find how many days from the beginning of the year is it to get the 7th of November. So we have 31 from January and 28 from February and 31 from March and 30 from April and 31 from May and 30 from June and 31 from July and 31 from August and 30 from September and 31 from October and another 7 from November, because she died 7th of November. So let's figure out how much all of this is. So 7 and 1 makes 8, and 0 makes 8, and 1 makes 9, and 1 makes 10, and 0 makes 10, and 1 makes 11, and 0 makes 11, and 1 makes 12, and 8 makes 20, and 1 makes 21. So I'm going to write 1, I'm going to carry the 2. And then I'm going to say 3, and the 2 that I carried over makes 5, and 3, 8, and 3 makes 11, and 3, 14, and 3, 17, and another 3 makes 20, and another 3 makes 23, and another 3 makes 26, and another 2 makes 28, and another 3 makes 31. So 311 So basically, we need to find the difference between 1,934 years and 185 days with 1,867 years and 311 days. We need to subtract these two. Okay, so let's do that. I want to do 185 take away 311. Now, right away, we should notice that 311 is more than 185. So what I need to do is I need to borrow a year and add it to this number of days. And then I'm going to subtract an extra year. But if I borrow a year and give it to these, that's 365 days. I'm going to have to do plus 365. And then I'm going to have to subtract an extra year. So I'm going to turn this into 8, and then I'm going to add 365 to this. So it's going to be, let's see, 5 and 5 will make, yeah, let's write it again somewhere on the side. 0, carry 1. 6 and 8 makes 14, plus 1 that I carried over makes 5. And 3 and 1 and the one that I carried over makes 5 again. So so this is going to become 550. Let me just erase this. And now I can do that subtraction. So I can say 0 take away 1. I can't do it, but I can borrow here. 10 take away 1 makes 9. And then I'd say 5 take away 2 makes 3. 5 take away 3 makes 2. And then I can do the subtraction of the years. 4 take away 8 I can't do, so I need to borrow. 14 take away 8 makes 6. 8. And then I'm going to do 3 take away 7, which I can't do, so I do 13 take away 7, which gives me another 6. And then I'm going to return this here, and the 8 becomes a 9, and I say 9 take away 9 makes 0. And 1 take away 1 makes 0 again. So these two zeros I don't even need to write. These two zeros. So my answer would be, let's write this properly, 66 years and 239 days. That's how long she lived. That's how old she lived to be, 66 years and 239 days. Now, as I told you, I did not get into months, which I could have done, but I did not, because as you saw, months do not all have the same value. Some months are 30 days, other months are 31 days. It's better just to convert all of it into days. Let's move on. Now this talks about Hippocrates, and it tells us that he was born 460 BC. This is very important, BC, and it asks how long it's been since he was born. 460 BC means 460 years before the year 0. So basically 460 years before the birth of Christ. So that means that 460 plus the 2020 years that have passed since then. So we need to do 460 plus 2020. And that would give me 2,480. Next up, we have a car that started from Trikala at 11:20 p.m. Actually, no, that's a.m. and reached Volos at 2:05 p.m. So how long did it take to get there? Now, this can be a little confusing because, see, you might be tempted do 1120 minus 205, but no, no, because this is the time that it arrived. So we need to do this, take away this. But then how do we do that? You might be thinking, because 2 is less than 11. Well, yes, but what you need to consider is that the difference here is that this is after noon and this is before noon, okay? So what we need to do here is find the difference between this hour and noon, noon being 12 o'clock, and then just add the 2 hours and 5 minutes that have passed since noon, okay? So to do this, to find how much time needs to pass between this time and noon, you could do vertical subtraction. So you could do 12 hours, 0 minutes minus 11 hours, 20 minutes. You could do it like that. Or if you use the clock long enough, you know that this is just 40 minutes. But let's do it the way that we've shown. We can't do 0 take away 20, so we would need to borrow an hour, meaning that I would turn this into plus 60, I would turn this into 60, and then I would subtract 1 extra hour, so this would become 12. And now I would do 60 take away 20 would become 40, and then 12 so take away 12 is 0. So the difference is 40 minutes. So 40 minutes to get from this time to noon, and then another 2 hours and 5 minutes. So 2 hours and 5 minutes plus another 40 minutes. Let's do that. Let's do that here. 2 hours, 40 minutes plus, sorry, no, this should be 2 hours and 5 minutes plus 40 minutes. And if we do this addition like this, what we would get is 2 hours, 45 minutes. That's how long it took. So this is exercise 4. Make sure you've done it correctly. Pause the video if you have to. Okay, great. Let's move on. We're moving on to exercise 5. This is more of calculations with time. So we're talking here about an athlete of tennis who played in a tournament, and his first match was 1 hour and 42 minutes. The second one was 2 hours and 11 minutes, and the third one was 2 hours and 27 minutes. And it asks how much the total was. So since it's asking for the total, we need to add all that up. So we're going to do 1 hour and 42 minutes plus 2 hours and 11 minutes, and then 2 hours, 27 minutes. And we're going to add all of this up. We are going to be adding all of this. So let's start with the minutes. 42 and 11 would give me 53, and another 27 would give me 80 minutes. And then the hours are 1 and 2 and 2, which makes 5 hours. But we're not done, because now you might notice that the minutes are more than 80. So I need to Take 60 of these minutes, turn them into an hour, and give them to the hours. So if I take away 60 of the minutes that I currently have, I would be left with 20 minutes. And then I would have an extra hour, so 6 hours. And this is my final answer, 6 hours and 20 minutes. Next up, we have another exercise about how long someone lived. So again, let's start converting the months into years. So the first one is 1996, 18th of March. So let's do the days then. 31 days from January and 28 days from February and another 18 from March. So how many days is that? 8 and 8 makes 16. So, and another one is 17. So I would write 7, carry 1. And then 1 and 2 makes 3, and another 3 makes 6. And 1 that I carried over is 77. So 77 days. And then for the date of birth, I have 1911, 1911. That's the year of birth. And we have the 2nd of November. So we have 31 days from January and 28 days from February and 31 days from March and 30 days from April and 31 days from May and 30 days from June and 31 days from July and 31 days from August and 30 days from September and 31 days from October and 2 days from November. So let's add all of this up. 2 and 1 makes 3, and 0 makes 3, and 1 makes 4, and 1 makes 5, and 0 makes 5, and 1 makes 6, and 0 makes 6, and 1 makes 7, and 8 makes 15, and 1 makes 16, so I would write 6 and carry 1. Then 3 and 1 that I carried over is 4, and another 3 is 7, and another 3 is 10, and another 3 is 13, and another 3 is 16, and another 3 is 19, and another 3 is 22, and another 3 is 25, and another 2 is 27, and another 3 is 29. So that's all of the days. 296 days. And I want to find the difference between these two, so it's a subtraction. Well, now we can put that here. So immediately you might notice that I can't do 77. Sorry. I can't do 77, take away 296, so I'm going to borrow a year. I'm going to borrow a year and add it to the number of days. So that's going to be plus 365 days. And then I'm going to subtract 1 extra year. So instead of 1911, 1912. So how many days is this going to become? It's going to become, let's see, 7 and 5 would make 12. So 2 carry 1. And then 6 and 1 that I carried over would be 7. And 7 would become 14. So write 4 carry 1. And then with the 3 plus 1 would make 4. Let's erase this. So 442 minus 296. Now we can do this. Okay, so let's start with the days. 2 take away 6. I can't do, so I borrow, and I do 12 take away 6 would give me 6. And then I would say 4 take away 10, which I can't do, so I do 14 take away 10, which makes 4. And then I would do 4 take away 3, which I can do. And it makes 146. 146 what? Days. And then we want to do 1,996 take away 1,912, which makes 84 years. If you do the subtraction, that's what you're going to get. So 84 years and 146 days. That's how old this person lived to be. Next up, we have a football match that started at 19, quarter past. This is 19, it means 7. Quarter past 7. And it says that the game lasted for 90 minutes. And during halftime, there was a 15-minute break. And the overtime was 7 minutes. So how long did the game last? So I'm going to need to do 19 hours, which I can just say 7 hours, and 15 minutes, plus, here we have 90 minutes, and 15 would give me 105, and 7 would give me 112 minutes. I would add this all up, and I'd get 7 hours and 127 minutes. And if you're careful here, what you're going to notice is that 127 minutes doesn't have just 1 hour in it. It has 2 hours in it. 2 hours is 120 minutes. So I'm going to take away 120 minutes, turn them into 2 hours, and add them to the hours. So my answer is going to be 2 hours and 7 minutes. That's the time that the game ended at 9 o'clock. 7 past 9. That's the time when the game ended. So this is exercise 5. So check that you did it correctly, and let's move on. Here we have someone who was for 4 years and 9 months in one city, and 3 years and 5 months in another city, and 6 years and 11 months in another city. And it asks us what the total was. So we have 4 years and 9 months. We can't convert this into days because we don't know which months, whereas before we did. We have 3 years and 5 months in the other city, and then 6 years and 11 months in the last city. And we need to add all of this up. Okay, so we're going to do 11 and 5 and 9. That makes 25 months. And then we have 4 and 3 and 6, which would give me 13 years. Now take notice that we have 25 months. 1 year has 12 months. So 25 months is 2 years and 1 extra month. How I wrote moth here. So I'm going to take away 24 months, turn them into 2 years, and add them to the years I already have. So my answer should be 15 years and 1 month. Next up, we have some athletes that started their race at 18:30, so 6:30 basically. And the first one reached the finish line at 42 past 20, so 42 past 8. And the last one reached the finish line at 11 past 9. So it asks basically how much time did the first athlete and how much did the last athlete need. So we need to find the difference basically between the starting time and the finishing time. And then it asks us to find how much more time the last athlete needed compared to the first athlete. So then we need to find the difference between the first answers. So let's get started. We're going to do 20:42 minus the starting time, so 18:30. So 42 take away 30 would give me 12. And 20 take away 18 would give me 2. So my answer should be actually 2 hours and 12 minutes. So that's the first athlete. Let's do the last athlete. That would be 21 and 11 minus 18:30. Now I can't do 11 take away 30, so I'm going to borrow an extra hour, add it here, so it's going to become 71, and then subtract an extra hour. So this is going to become 19. So 71 take away 30 would give me 41, and 21 take away 19 would give me 2. So my answer should be 2 hours and 41 minutes. So that's A. Then to do B, we would do this minus this. So let's do that. 241 minus 212. And if I do 41 minus 12, that would be 29. And 2 take away 2 would give me 0. So my answer should be 0 hours, 29 minutes. That was the difference between the first and the last athlete. Next up, a movie started at 40 past 20 and finished at half past 11 basically. The commercials that played in the middle of the movie were 20 minutes long. So how long did the movie last overall? So first I need to find the difference between finishing time and starting time. So I need to do 23:30 minus 20:40. I can't do 30 take away 40, so I'm going to borrow an extra hour, give it here, and turn this into 90. Then I'm going to subtract 1 extra hour, so it's going to be like this. And then I'm going to say, well, 90 take away 40 would give me 50, and 23 take away 21 would give me 2. So my answer should be, well, not my answer, not yet. So the whole thing lasted 2 hours and 50 minutes, but out of those 2 hours and 50 minutes, 20 minutes was commercials. So I'm going to need to do 2 hours and 50 minutes minus 0 hours and 20 minutes. So this would give me 2 hours and 30 minutes. Because 20 take away 50, and 50 take away 20 is 30. And I'm not subtracting any hours, so 2 hours and 30 minutes. Next up, we have someone who needs to be at work at 9 o'clock. They need 15 minutes to get dressed, 20 minutes to eat breakfast, and 30 minutes. Oh, wait, sorry. No, that's correct. And 35 minutes to walk to work. So what time do they have to leave in order to get to work on time? So that's a total of how many minutes? 15 and 35 would give me 50, and another 20 would give me 70 minutes. So an hour and 10 minutes, basically. So I need to do 9 o'clock minus 1 hour and 10 minutes. Now, seeing as how I can't do 0 take away 10, I'm going to borrow an extra hour, give it to the minutes, and turn them into 60, and then I'm going to subtract 1 extra hour. So we're going to have this now. 60 take away 10 would give me 50, and 9 take away 2 would give me 7. So they need to wake up at 7:50, at 10 to 8, basically, is how I would say this time. 50 past 7 if you don't want to complicate things. Okay, so this is worksheet number 6. Pause the video if you need to. Let's go on. Okay, what's going on here? It's probably a mistake. Okay, exercise number 7. We're going to keep the worksheets to a maximum of 4 from now on, 4 per week from now on. Okay, so now we're going to be converting mass. So from ton to kilogram is times 1,000, from kilogram to gram times another 1,000, and then the reverse is division. So let's go. So it wants us to turn all of these into kilograms. So here, okay, let's get started. 5 tons into kilograms means times 1,000, so that would be 5,000 kilograms. 1.2 tons times 1,000 would give me 1,200 kilograms. And 0.8 times 1,000 would give me 800 kilograms. 0.75 times 1,000 would give me 750 kilograms. 2,000 grams into kilograms means I would have to divide by 1,000, so that would give me 2. Then 3,500 divided by 1,000 would give me 3.5. Oh, sorry, I should have written kilograms. Next up, we have 1,050 divided by 1,000 would give me 1.05 kilograms. 750 divided by 1,000 would give me 0.75 kilograms. 95 grams, so divide by 1,000, that would be 0.095 kilograms. And then we want to turn these into tons and then grams. So all of these are kilos. To turn them into tons, I would have to divide by 1,000, so that would be 0.012. And then to turn them into grams, I'd have to multiply by 1,000, so that would be 12,000. Then again, we divide by 1,000, so that would be here, how much? 0.00545. And here it would be 5,450. Next up, 975 kilograms into tons would give me 0.975 tons, and into grams that would be 975,000. Yeah. So that's exercise 7. Pause the video if you have to in order to check. We're moving on. No, don't save it. Next up, we have problems. So Helen bought 6 packs of flour and each one cost 750 grams. How many kilograms are the packets altogether? So there are 2 ways you could go about this. You could either convert this into kilograms and then multiply it by 6, or you could multiply it by 6 and then convert your result into kilograms. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do, actually, no, I'm going to use the brush. So I'm going to do 750 times 6. And this will give me 0, 0, 45. So 4,500 grams, which converted to kilograms would be 4.5 kilograms. Now, next up, we have a box that has 28 chocolates, and each one weighs 35 grams. We weighed the box, and it weighed 1.3 kilograms. What is the weight of the empty box? If we were to toss out all the chocolates. So first, we need to find the weight of all the chocolates. To do that, I would do 28 times 35. And I'd say 5 by 8 makes 40, right? 0 carry 4. 5 by 2 makes 10, plus 4 that I carried over makes 14. Right, 0 beneath the ones. 3 by 8 makes 24, so write 4 carry 2. 3 by 2 makes 6, and 2 that I carried over is 8. And then add 0, 8, and 9. So it's 980 grams. The chocolates are 980 grams. This is a 9. Altogether, the box and the chocolates is 1.3 kilograms, which is 1,300 grams. So I need to find the difference between 1,300 and 980. So I would do the vertical subtraction, 1,300 minus 980, and what I would find is 320 grams. Next up, we have a farmer that produces 1.2 tons of oranges, and he wants to put them in packages that each can take 2.5 kilograms of oranges. So what I need to do here is, and it's asking me how many packages we need. So we need to divide 1.2 tons by 2.5 kilograms. But before we do that, we're going to have to turn this into kilograms. 1.2 tons is 1,200 kilograms because I multiply it by 1,000. And I'm going to have to divide it by 2.5. 2.5 is in decimal form is 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to rewrite this after moving. I need to do this division. Okay, I'm going to move the decimal point to the right and I'm going to add a 0 here. So it's going to become 12,000 divided by 25. And what would this give me? I'd say 4, and I'd have 20 here left over. I'm going to add another 0, and I'd say 8 with a remainder of 0. And then I'd have to pull, don't forget, you got another 0 to pull down. And then 25 fits into 0, 0 times. So my answer would be that he would need 480 packages. Last exercise on this worksheet says that there is a factory that produces chocolates, and each of them weighs 125 grams. They are put into boxes that can fit 20 chocolates. And then it asks us how many kilograms do the chocolates that fit into 12 boxes weigh. So 12 boxes, don't forget, each one takes in 20 chocolates, so I need to do 12 times 20 to find out the total amount of chocolates that are going to fit. And then I need to multiply that by 125 because each chocolate weighs 125. So 12 times 20 would give me 240, so I'm going to have to do 125 times 240. Let's write that down. 125 times 240. Okay, let's go. Zeros all around on this one. Then another 0 beneath the ones. And then I'd say 4 by 5 makes 20. Write 0, carry 2. 4 by 2 makes 8. Another 2 that I carry over makes 10, so another 0. And I carry 1. And then 4 by 1 makes 4, and another one that I carried over makes 5. And then I put 2 zeros beneath here. And I say 2 by 5 makes 10. Write 0, carry 1. 2 by 2 makes 4, and another one that I carried over makes 5. And then I'd say 2 by 1 makes 2. And then add 0 and 0 and 0 and 0 and 1 carried over, and comes 3. So 30,000 grams. This is grams, don't forget. And it's asking kilograms. So I'm going to have to convert this into kilograms. So divide it by 1,000. Meaning that this is 30 kilograms. Because 30,000 is divided by 1,000 is 30. Now, we are being told that each little box that has the chocolates in it is put into bigger boxes that can fit 40 little boxes each. So we have the following. Let's think. We have a big box, and each of the big boxes can fit 40 little boxes, and each of the little boxes can fit 20 chocolates, and each little chocolate weighs 125 kilograms. So I want to know how many chocolates are in 40 big boxes. So that means that I have to do 40, which is the amount of boxes, times 40, which is the amount of little boxes that each big box can fit, times 20, which is the amount of chocolates that each little box can fit, times 125. Okay, now 40 times 40 gives me how much? 40 times 40 gives me 1,600. And this times 20 would give me 32,000. So I need to do 32,000 times 125. Or I can just do 125 times 32. And then whatever I find, I'm going to add another 3 zeros at the end. So 125 times 32. And I'm going to add 3 zeros to the end. So 0 and 1 carried over. 2 times 2 makes 4, and 1 carried over is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. Right, 0 here. And then we'd say 3 by 5 makes 15. 3 by 2 is 6, and 1 that I carry over is 7. 3 by 1 is 3. And I add this 0 and 0. 2 and 7 makes 9, and 1 that I carried over makes 10. So 0 and 1. 3 and 1 that I carry over is 4. So 4,000. But remember, because we shouldn't have been multiplying with 32, but instead of 32,000, I need to add another 3 zeros at the end. So that's actually 4 million grams. 4 million grams. Now to turn this, it's asking us how many tons. So I need to turn this into tons. To turn grams into tons, I would divide by 1 million. 4 million divided by 1 million would give me 4. So my answer to the second question would be 4 tons. And that's exercise number 2. Again, from now on, we will be maintaining a 4 exercise per week maximum. Make sure that you've done these correctly. Okay, last one. As far as I can tell, the last one has problems of every kind. It's a review. So, let's go. 6 millimeters into meters, so divide by 1,000. That would be 0.006. Let's make these a little smaller because they're not going to fit. Then we have 0.4 meters into centimeters, so times 100 give me 40. Then 0.01 meters into centimeters, so times 100 give me 1. And 4 kilometers into millimeters means I need to multiply by how many? 6 steps down, so that's 1,000,000. So that will give me 4 million. 3 zeros and another 3 zeros. 4 million. 4 with 6 zeros after it. Next, we have 5 meters into decimeters. So multiply by 10 gives me 50. Millimeters into centimeters, divide by 10, so 0.9. 6.4 decimeters into millimeters times 10, so 64. Decimeters into meters means divide by 10, so 3.2. 2,000 meters into millimeters means I need to multiply by 1,000, so that would be 2 million. And 75 meters into kilometers would mean I need to divide by 1,000, so 0.075. Next up, we have an athlete goes running every single day. And the first day he runs 3,050 meters. The second day he does 2.72 kilometers. And the third day, 980 meters and 400 centimeters. And then the third day, 1,750.750 meters. How many kilometers did he run? So to do this, I need to convert all of these into kilometers. So the first one would be 3.05, and the second one is already in kilometers, so 2.72, and then the third one would be 0. Okay, let's think about this. It says 980 meters and 400 centimeters. 400 centimeters is 4 meters, so this should be 984 meters. And to turn that into kilometers, I divide that by 1,000, so I'd have 0.984 plus the last one, which 1,750.750 meters. I divide this by 1,000 and I'd get 1.75075. And we need to add all of this vertically. So let's see what we would get. The 7 and the 5 have nothing to deal with, so they're left alone. Then the 4 plus 0 makes 4. And then we'd have to do 5 and 2 makes 7, and 8 makes 15, and then another 5 would make 20. So I'd write 0 and I'd carry 2. And then 0 and 7 make 7, and 2 that I carried over would make 9. And 9 would make 18, and 7 would make 25. So 5 and 2. And then I'd say 3 and 2 that I carried over would make 5. And 2 would make 7, and 0 would make 7, and 1 would make 8. And then the decimal point. So this should be my answer. 8.50475 kilometers. So this Easter we bought 4 goats, and we're going to roast them in the yard with the whole family. One of them weighs 9 kilograms, 350 grams. The other one weighs 8.260 kilograms. The third one weighs 7,460 grams. The fourth one weighs 11.2 kilograms. How much do they weigh together? So let's turn all of this into kilograms. So we have the first one, which is 9.35, and the second one, which is 8.26, and the third one, which is 7.46, and the last one, which is 11.2. So this one, well, we need to move all of them a little bit to make it so that the decimal points are correct. So I'd do 5 and 6 and 6 would give me 17, so I'd write 7, I'd carry 1. And then 3 and 1 that I carried over would be 4, and 2 would make 6, and 4 would make 10, and 2 would make 12. So I'd write 2, I'd carry 1. And then 9 and 1 that I carried over would be 10, and 8, 18, and 7 would be 25, and 1 would be 26. So I would write 6 and carry 2. 1 and 2 that I carried over would be 3. and then the decimal point would go here. There you go. You can check that if you want to. Make sure it's correct. 36.27 kilograms is the correct answer. So, here we have a question about a TV show that started at 8 o'clock afternoon, and then it finished 70 hours later. And it asks, what day and what time did it finish? It tells us that 70 hours passed. Okay, well, each day is 24 hours. So let's think about it. Let's think about it for a little bit. 24 hours pass, and it's since the show started on Sunday, it's now 8 o'clock Monday. And then another 24 hours passed, so overall 48 hours. And now it's Tuesday. And then I'd say another 24, but then we would pass 70. We would get 72. So instead, we're going to find if 48 hours have already passed, how many more need to pass in order to reach 70? Well, if I do 70 take away 48, I would get 22. So I need to do 8 plus 22 more hours, right? If I do 8 and 22, so 8 o'clock, say, plus 22, that means that, and remember, 2 days have already passed. We're at 8 o'clock Tuesday, and now we're adding another 22 hours. Okay, and this is afternoon. So 8 o'clock at night. Think about it like that if you want to. And then another 22 hours pass. So what are we at now? 30 hours. But wait a minute. 24 hours is a day. So what I'm going to do is take 24 hours out of here and leave 6. And then I'm going to take those 24 hours and convert them into an extra day. So now another day went by. So now it's Wednesday, 6 o'clock. Wednesday, 6 o'clock. In the afternoon. So that would be AM or Metamas in Greek. Last one. Students in Belgium go to school at 10 past 8. And the bell rings for them to go home at 5 to 4, basically. That's how I would read this. 55 minutes, but 15 is 3 o'clock. So this. So then it asks, how many hours do they stay at school? So we're going to do 15, 55, take away 8, 10. So let's write it like that. 15, 55, and 8, 10. I can't see. If you got confused by why some hours have more than 12 in front of them, we've explained this a few years ago when we were doing hours, that when we're afternoon, when we're after 12 o'clock, basically, there are two ways of counting it. On your digital watch, you can see it sometimes that it gets past 12. We just continue counting until we get to 24, basically, which is when the day is done at 24 hours. To calculate that quickly, what you can do is take the hours and subtract 12. So if you take 15, take away 12, that's 3. So 15 is 3 o'clock. That's what it means. Okay, so here we're going to do the subtraction. So 55 take away 10, give me 45. And then 15 take away 8 would give me 7. So the students stay at school for 7 hours and 45 minutes. And that's it, guys. That's all of it. Make sure you got everything correctly. Pause the video if you have to. Actually, that's too far out. That's it. That's all of it. We're done for today. Have a good weekend. I hope you rest well. Do your homework, and I'll see you guys on Monday.